Thank you, Madam Chair. And just as a point of record and reference, COVID killed 1 million people in this country. And some of us were in Congress. Some of us were taking the calls, like I did on behalf of Michigan, when we didn't have the ventilators and we had a twice-impeached president who was laughing at supply chain disruptions. Some of us were here on January 6th when a president twice impeached now was eating popcorn as the Capitol was being attacked. We are here with the Secretary of Health and Human Services, a former member of this body, someone who is dedicated to the health outcomes of this nation. Now, I only wish that the other side of the aisle could care just as much about the things that they are making up as they do about the real problems impacting Americans. My colleague from Connecticut spoke about a maternal mortality crisis in this nation, the highest in the industrial world. Mr. Secretary, we salute the Biden administration for your commitment to expanding access to quality, affordable health care, a very basic thing. You were here when we passed the Affordable Care Act, and we have been expanding on that and trying to improve outcomes for people. In the middle of a health crisis, a Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, adding and doubling to the challenge of women. Some of us have the physical reality of what it is like to get pregnant and to be fighting for the access to care. Not cheering when Roe v. Wade is overturned and now 14 states passing extreme abortion bans with no exceptions for rape, incest, or the life of the mother. Say that again, for the life of the mother, a human being. So Secretary Becerra, what steps has HHS taken to ensure that women continue to have access to comprehensive reproductive health care in the wake of this almost 1 year later horrible ruling from the Supreme Court to overturn Roe v. Wade?
Congresswoman, we are engaged in a number of activities. We take actions against healthcare providers that have deprived women of the health care they need at the time during their pregnancy. We are making sure we defend the women's access to mifepristone, a abortion medication that has been in use for more than 20 years. We are continuing to work with family planning programs to make sure women get the right information about the care that they're entitled to. We have taken actions to defend any individual whose rights to health care have been discriminated against and violated. And we continue to make every effort to work with our state and local partners to make sure a woman has access to the care she needs wherever she may have to go to get it.
Well, thank you so much for that response. And I know my good colleague, Ms. Manning from the great state of North Carolina, has played a leading role in making sure that women have continued access to mifepristone. And of course, women bear a disproportionate burden of autoimmune disease, thyroid disease, and other gynecological diseases like endometriosis, certainly compared to male counterparts. And I just want to take this moment to continue to implore your office, with the great role that you play at HHS, to continue prioritizing research to improve understanding of the mechanisms, diagnoses, and treatment of diseases that disproportionately impact women. You know, you go on the NIH site and this condition, that condition just isn't researched enough because it's only impacting 50% of the population, except for, of course, for our colleagues on the other side of the aisle who are possessed about reproductive care and stripping it away from women. So thank you for utilizing your role in that regard. Along the theme of equal access to health care for all people, I'd just like to inquire about continued support for disabled Americans, a group of workers whose rights and opportunities are so often stifled in the workplace. Essential laws like Section 504, the IDA work together to protect children and adults with disabilities from exclusion, and unequal treatment in schools, jobs, and the community. So, Secretary Becerra, what can HHS do to strengthen enforcement of civil rights mandates, including Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act, to ensure that the 64 million people with disabilities in this country have adequate and equal access to health care?
Congressman, thank you for the question. We are continuing to try to reform and improve the regulations that we have that let us enforce Section 504 or Section 1557 of the Affordable Care Act when it comes to anti-discrimination provisions. We hope that Congress will provide us with the resources our Office for Civil Rights requires in order to be able to do the work to enforce the law when we get reports of violations.
Thank you. I yield back. Thanks.